These supports that we've designed for the display boards have a couple of sets of hinges. One that goes from this board here to the plywood base. Well, actually, this is the display surface. Then there's another hinge that hinges this leg right here in the opposite direction so that we can triangulate the base plus the leg against the plywood.
Doing what?
Falling over.
Oh, since we figured out how to clamp them to the table?
Yeah.
Only if it took the whole table with it.
That's only happened once or twice in
20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we first started to do it, we weren't clamping them to the table.
That was a pretty silly decision.
Well, we just didn't
back.
understand how how much of a sail they would be in terms of the wind. I mean, you know, you try and think things out, but, you know, sometimes you just don't understand. And then this past event that we did, we actually had some trouble because of the slope we were on. It just made it more slopey than we thought it was. And the net result of that was we had some problems with one of the tables trying to fall over. But we fixed it. I mean, once we realized what was going on, it didn't look like it was much of a slope, but it was just the wrong angle. So we fixed it. We always carry pieces of 2x4 and 2x6 with us that, here, I'll hold that for you because you're leaning it against the, the camera stand. The 2x6 and 2x4s, you can use as chalk the woods, you know, the legs of the tables. And the tables are on risers, so they are higher than usual. So you have more of a risk of things falling over, but they don't usually.
Yeah, the whole point of doing these display boards this way is the top of the board is just outside of short people's reach, but well within the average person's reach. And the bottom of the display board goes on a table that's elevated by some now PVC risers that Irene made. Originally I made some really beefy risers. By beefy I mean
Iron pipe.
they were made out of black iron pipe and galvanized pipe. And they were all adjustable and
Right. It worked great, but it weighed as much as a human being. But we had like a box and a half of these things that were just, it was so heavy, it was ridiculous. And because we weren't really sure the weights that were going to be involved with the table, and we were erring on the side of caution. Yeah, once we figured out that there really wasn't that much weight on the tables, we switched over to the PVC pipe, which probably took 100 pounds of pipes out of the truck, which is a good thing. Gave me room for 100 pounds of beads. And now the critical part.
To grab the tape measure for me.
Sure thing. There it is. The reason I call this the critical part is because exactly where you set this hasp is going to determine the angle of the boards. And we caught ourselves that way years ago when we built a different set of boards. We got to the event and found that our boards, our display boards, were at different angles on the table, which was not the look we were going for. So, yeah, we had to fix that. It wasn't the end of the world, and we always have enough equipment with us to fix things like that. It's just the annoyance factor.
you'll notice there's a hole in each leg so that the leg can come down over the top of the hasp. And that's specifically done that way so that the board has a fixture at the top, so it sets the length of this right angle triangle.
Having the hole there allows you to fold these boards completely flat for transport, which is really important because that way you're not putting any kind of sideways pressure on anything or anything else like that. And you'll see when Henry gets to the next step, we actually have like a elastic cord that holds the boards in place, again to help it stay safe during transport.
It also helps keep the board from closing up on your fingers.
Yeah,
when you're moving it.
Because they do bite. They don't bite quite as bad as the set of shelves we have, but they're pretty darn close. You talk about shelves and display boards biting in the sense that a piece of wood will flop and it'll bite, it'll pinch your fingers, which is never fun.
This is a design from many years ago. I developed it primarily so that there was not a lot of space taken up in the truck when we're moving. And as Irene mentioned, we're keeping the board safe by being able to fold the legs up. By legs, I'm talking about the pieces right there.
Yeah. And when we store them in the truck, they're stored so that the face, the fabric side here, is up against another fabric side, and then the wood will be up against another piece of wood, and you alternate back and forth so that you're not scuffing up the fronts of the fabric. Because the fabric is pretty tough, but it can be damaged by something hard rubbing on it, especially when you're bouncing down the road for 1,000 miles or so. And
or 2,500 miles.
Yeah, yeah. And so we try and keep them. They've held up, I mean, considering there's a couple of spots. I forget why we wound up with a burn spot on one of them. But there's a couple of spots that are a little damaged on them. But
the leg goes right over the top of that hasp. There's a hole drilled in each of these legs.
So it lays flat right there and right there.
I very cleverly measured the distance from that baseboard to where these hasps go on the original boards that we made. Because, as Irene mentioned, that sets the angle of the board when we put it up in the shop.
Right. Once in a while we do have to adjust the angle because the tables cannot be completely leveled. This is not an environment like a convention center where you have a flat floor. Although even convention centers I've been to sometimes don't have flat floors. But you're outside somewhere. And the biggest problem that we usually face is that somebody has dug a fire pit at some point, and the fire pits are filled in part of the way, but not completely. So you wind up with lumpy, bumpy sort of ground, and you'll have 3 legs of the table will be fine, and the 4th one will be in a hole. So you'll be stuffing 2x6s underneath there.
Now, if you notice the lights seem to be going off and on, that's because they are.
Yeah, right.
We're busy running a generator because it's been really hot. And
well, by really hot, we mean it was 109 the day before yesterday and 108 yesterday. So you just dumped your screws over there.
Some of them.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you saw that you did that. Anyway, so yeah, it was 109 the day before yesterday, and it was 108 yesterday. And that's, yeah, Fahrenheit, that's more than a little toasty.
Yeah, people hear that we live in Arizona and they think hot all the time. Well, When we first moved here, we'd be getting down in the low 60s at night pretty regularly. And for the previous 3 or 4 years, we would have a week or two where the heat would stay high even at night. Well, fortunately, this year we've had a little bit of a change. The past couple of nights, we've gotten down into the 60s again.
Right. And you can tolerate an awful lot of misery during the day as long as you get a decent night's sleep. So if we just open all the windows and run a fan at nighttime, it's been enough to make it tolerable. During the day, we have been running a mini split to take the temperature down a little bit. Rufus doesn't like the hot weather. He's kind of melted. Poor guy. So he enjoys it. His favorite place lately has been the bathroom. He likes to lay on the tile right in front of the shower, so he's got his back up against the tile curb that goes into the shower and his side up against the tile floor, and he's been splattered there for days. So yeah, I used to fuss at him when he went and hid in the bathroom or something, but no, he's hiding in there for a good reason right now.
It's actually the coolest place naturally in the house.
Yeah, well, there's no windows there. It's well insulated. It's the corner of a house, but it's the northwest corner, so it doesn't start to really warm up until the very end of the day, and it never totally warms up. So, yeah, it's his current favorite location in the house.
Just like that. Now I need to attach the bungee cord.
Yep. And all you need is a couple of D-rings, and
yeah, the bungee cord is ordinary boat bungee cord. It's available at many different marine supply stores. It's pretty inexpensive. There's small D-rings that can be attached to the plywood on each side. So I'm going to attach one over here and then one on the other side. Pardon?
Can we drill a hole?
I should be able to put these through. Yeah, this one's knotted all the way. The one that I did yesterday, one side only had a half hitch.
Mm-hmm.
I actually duplicated the one that I made yesterday based on the one that was out in the truck. And there's one problem with that, and I'll tell you about that in just a minute. It's maybe not as tight as I'd like it. One more screw and we're done. Now, one of the ways that we could tell that the boards I'm replacing were the original boards we made was we just used an ordinary staple gun. And the problem with that is the staples didn't go into the plywood very well, so Irene took a hammer and anything that was proud of the fabric, she bashed.
I did. I knocked it in place. And it worked fine. It's just that some of the fabric is now a little sorry after having been used for, for
15
years or something like that. And we wanted to make lighter boards.
We needed to make lighter boards.
Yes, we needed.
Let's turn this sideways so we can show people how it works. Now these boards, generally speaking, can be set up by one person.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you go ahead and do the setup.
I usually take them out from underneath, actually. And we put carabiners that are just intended for keychains in there.
It's not trying to hold any weight. A lightweight carabiner is just fine.
Yeah.
You don't need anything that you could rappel with because that's way too much.
Yeah, you could use other things other than carabiners. The nice thing about carabiners is it holds it in place, so you don't have to worry about the stuff letting go, like that one that I just did. But I'll be a carabiner. All I'm doing is holding the hasp in place because it fell off the hasp.
Okay, let's put it back down.
But that's the way it works. And see, it's light enough that an individual person could do the setup and breakdown. Flip those hasps down. I can't see you because you're moving your hands in the way. And then it goes, and it's ready to go. Then when you carry it with this end up. So I never grab this as a handle. He does. But if he breaks it, he gets to fix it. So.
Well, I hope this is of some interest to you. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications because we've got a lot more stuff doing. Right now, we're in the process of getting ready to cast again.
Yeah.
Irene will probably be setting up in about another 2 hours to start that cast. Unfortunately, it's going to be the heat of the day, but that happens.
The heat of the day right now runs from about 10 o'clock in the morning until about 9 o'clock at night, so there's not much of an option. And I've got a swamp cooler down there, so it's not too bad.
Well, thanks for watching. We'll talk with you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh,
hey,
yep.
Don't forget to brainstorm.
Yeah, because obviously we are. Okay.
See you on the next one.
But see? Muscles.
Well, you don't have to have muscles to lift this one.
No, you don't. Thank goodness.